glad that you guys are here. My name is Stephen. I'm the senior pastor here at Cokesbury, and I'm glad that you are here to help us kick off the Christmas season. It's on, y'all. There ain't nothing you can do about it. We're on the slide straight to the end of the year, but I'm glad that you guys are here. I want to say thanks to our students for helping us kick off the Christmas season. It's always good to have them involved in what's going on around this place, and obviously for our tech team and our staff that got everything ready. It's a hard shift, man, when you're getting ready for Thanksgiving, and then that week you've got to get ready for Christmas, and I'm really proud of the way those guys have done that. So I'm really glad you guys are here. We're starting off a brand new series. It's going to take us through the rest of the year. It's just called Keep It Simple. And the idea is as we navigate these weeks of Christmas that we just try to stay focused on the simplicity of the moment. Because for a lot of us, Christmas is going to be filled with chaos and stress, and there's lots of things to do and places to go and people to be with, and you can kind of get overwhelmed if you're not careful. And so this is our weekly reminder to just, settle in, man, keep it simple. So I've been thinking about Christmas and how different it is for kids today than it was when I was growing up. When I was a kid, life was just different. I mean, it just was. I was a free-range kid. I don't know if there are any other free-range kids in the room. Yeah, like after school, the basic rule at our house, and really it was a year-round kind of rule, was do whatever you want to do, just make sure you're home before dark. And that was it. That was the only boundary. That was the only restriction. It was just show up before it gets dark. There were no cell phones to track where you were. There was no one to keep up with you. And we would just literally roam miles away from our house. And it was completely fine, somehow, some way. We always found our way back home. If parents wanted to know where you were that evening, they only had a couple of options. They could stand on the front porch and yell your name across the neighborhood. They could, one by one, call around all the neighbors wanting to know if they had seen you. Or my dad frequently would just get in the car and drive around our community until he saw us to check in on us. We lived up on a ridge when I was a kid in Chattanooga, and there was a Handy Andy, so that was like Chattanooga's version of Weigel's. It was about 3.5 miles away. No guardrails, no shoulder, this windy road where everybody drove way too fast, and almost every day in the summer, even when I was like 5 or 6 years old, my brother and I would jump on our bikes and we would go to the Handy Andy. It's pure insanity. I would never do that today, but I was a free-range kid. As a free-range kid, if you got thirsty, what'd you do? Picked up a garden hose, did you not? Yeah. It didn't have to be your lawn hose. It could be any lawn hose. If you're out playing and you're thirsty and you're near somebody's house, you're like, oh, there's a hose. I'll just go drink from the hose, right? So you would grab that thing, take in a long drink. You'd savor the taste of that hot rubber, right? That water that had just been sitting in the hose since the last time that they turned it on. You just kind of building up that immune system, right? Just getting in all the nutrients from that. I mean, it was a different time. I don't remember car seats. There was no discussion about crash detection technology in cars. Seat belts weren't really a thing when I was a kid. There were no airbags. We didn't need airbags. We had my dad's arm. And if he hit the brakes too hard, he's like, whoop-ah! And he would stop your forward momentum and you would be safe, at least in that moment. If you wanted to watch a movie, especially around the holidays, you had to have one of these things right here, the Blockbuster video card, right? Streaming did not exist. I know it's crazy, but it didn't. You had to go to Blockbuster. You had to join everyone else who was trying to rent a movie, and you would scramble around hoping that the movie you wanted to watch was actually in stock. And if it was in stock, you had to rent it, you'd go home, you'd watch it, and there was a little sticker on every case. Remember that? It said, please be kind, rewind. That's exactly right. It was a very primitive era, I know. But I think about kids today. And when our kids were little, we would not even let them out of the driveway without adult supervision. There was no free range running. We give kids cell phones now. so that we can track them or so they can call us if they need us. If they're too young for a cell phone, some parents actually slip AirTags into their clothing so that they can track them at all times. There's not a lot of drinking from the water hose anymore. I don't know if you've noticed that, but everyone is concerned about chemicals in the water. And so we got pH balanced water and we got electrolytes in our water. We've got bottled water, there's highly filtered water. Everybody's got their Yeti or their Stanley or their Lark bottle with them, right? We've got crash detection technology and airbags in all of our cars. A lot of our watches aren't really watches. They're like mini vital screening devices that are tracking our sleep patterns and our heart rhythms and our O2 levels. They're waiting for us to fall so that they can alert the authorities, right? You can stream any movie that has ever been produced in the history of movies, and you can do it right from your phone. And isn't it interesting how we still sometimes think there's nothing to watch? Now, I am grateful for all of this technology. I am thankful for the improvements that we have made as a society. And yet, I do think that there's often a cost. And when you think about all the information that's coming at you and that's coming at me, like the TikTok videos, the Instagram reels, all the posts that we have to keep up with, all the news that is constantly coming at us, it's available immediately, all day, every day. I think there is a cost sometimes to our very souls. Every year, the Oxford Dictionary names the word of the year, and if you did not know, voting is still going on right now. They've narrowed it down to 3 words. But last year, they landed on the word brain rot. You ever had brain rot? Brain rot is basically the mental decline that occurs when you constantly expose yourself to mindless content, right? Like TikTok videos and Instagram reels. They're good for boredom. Make no mistake about it. They're great if you need a good laugh, but it's not always good for relational or personal or spiritual growth inside the individual. And I think sometimes in all of our technology and all of our advancements, we face the real threat of kind of losing our souls. We can lose our connection with God, and we can lose our grounding in who it is that God says we are. It's one of the reasons that I absolutely love Christmas. The whole community comes together and we remember the birth of Jesus, and it gives us a chance to pause and think about the deeper things of life, to reflect together as a community of faith who we are, to think about who God actually is and who God says that we are. Which brings me to Luke chapter 2 that you heard read just a few moments ago. Mary has given birth to Jesus. And there's some shepherds out in the field, and an angel shows up, and in verse 10 we are told this: but the angel reassured them, "Don't be afraid. I bring you good news that will bring great joy to all people. The Savior, yes, the Messiah, the Lord, has been born today in Bethlehem, the city of David. And you will recognize him by this sign. You will find a baby wrapped snugly in strips of cloth, lying in a manger." According to Luke, this season that we're launching into today, this season of Christmas, it's about good news and it's about great joy. Good news that God has not forgotten us, even though sometimes it can feel like God's somewhere else on the other side of the universe. Good news that God has not abandoned us, that no matter where we go or what we do in life, God has not turned his back on us. It's good news that God has not given up on us. In fact, he loves us. He has a plan and a purpose for us. And through his son, Jesus, he is redeeming and forgiving and moving and working and trying to set every single human being free for the life that they were created to live. It's good news, but it's also great joy. Jesus told his disciples that if they remained in him, if they leaned into his life and his teaching, if they made his way of living their way of living, that it would lead them to experience not just joy, but according to Jesus, an overflowing of joy. How you doing on that part so far? Joy is a really, really big deal. And if you're already struggling with the joy side of this, I got a couple of quick thoughts for you to get the Christmas season started on how to find lasting joy this Christmas. The first one is huge, and it's a challenge, I get it, but you got to put down your distractions. Just put down your distraction. You don't have to do it forever. Just do it over the next couple of weeks. Our phone is a tool of mass communication, but it is also a tool of mass distraction. Researchers have discovered that most adults spend an average of about 5 to 6 hours a day just looking at their screens. If you're a student or a young adult, you spend even more time than that. They also note that our attention spans have now shortened to about 8 seconds. Goldfish have an attention span of 9 seconds. So we are literally losing to goldfish, y'all. I think if we're not careful, we can easily miss what this season is all about. We can miss the moments that are coming our way, and they're coming at every single one of us. There'll be moments every single day. There'll be a lot of Christmas tables this year, and there'll be a lot of people sitting around those tables. It's one of the few times a year where everybody actually makes an effort to be there, and yet most people are gonna be looking at their phones. We gotta be willing to put down the distractions, to reground ourselves, and to remember. Luke chapter 2, verse 12. Suddenly the angel was joined by a vast host of others, the armies of heaven, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest," here it is, "and peace on earth to those with whom God is pleased." Peace on earth, don't miss the second part. To those with whom God is pleased. It's possible to have peace. Peace inside even when there's no peace outside. Peace in our lives when there's not peace in the world. And in order to get that peace, you got to put down the distractions in order to hear God speaking. Sometimes people will say to me, "Stephen, I don't think God is speaking to me." I'm telling you, God is speaking to you. You might not be listening. And it may not be on purpose. It's that life comes at you fast. And the older you get, the harder life comes at you. It's the barrage of information, the constant news. It's those distractions that work their way into every single one of our lives. If we're not careful and we don't actually stop every once in a while and listen, we will miss God screaming volumes into our lives. So maybe this Christmas, just go with Christmas dinner, right? If you're gonna have Christmas dinner, maybe you wanna get everybody's cell phone and put them in a box. That's gonna get a few emails, I know. It's gonna be hard, I get it. Delete distraction apps, yeah? Don't do it forever, just do it for the next month. Just give yourself a little Christmas cheer challenge. If you've got an app that you routinely go to and you can't get away from it, just delete it from your phone for the next 30 days. I guarantee it'll make a difference. Here's a crazy one we talk about a lot, go for a walk. When's the last time you went on a walk? Have face-to-face conversations. It is okay. You are important, but I promise you the world will not end if you drop off of social media for a month. Here's the second thought, redirect your thoughts. Philippians chapter 4, Paul's writing to the church, and he says, "And now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise." I like that. Fix your thoughts. That's an action step. Fix your thoughts. You are in control of your thought life, believe it or not. You get to decide what it is that makes its way into your brain and what it is that comes out. And I know sometimes you got to put intentionality into what you're thinking about, because we can all tune into the bad news. We can all listen to the doomsayers because they are everywhere. We can stay tuned into our past or our hurt or the things that we've been through. We can get caught up in things like jealousy or envy or frustration or all the things that are going on in the world, because there's a lot going on in the world. Or all the things happening on our street, because some of us have got some jacked up neighbors. Or all the things that are happening in our family. Hello, not everybody's got a perfect family. But if you want to lift your life, according to Paul, you got to lift your thoughts. You got to figure out, how can I get myself above the mess and the noise and all the stuff going on around me? And so let me give you a Christmas strategy. It's simple, but it's hard. I've been trying to do this for a week and I'm struggling. So even as I tell you this, it's not going to be easy. But try turning every complaint into a statement of gratitude. There's a challenge for you. every complaint into a statement of gratitude. It's hard. It's way easier said than done. But if you can complain about not having enough time off, you really can be grateful for having a job, right? If you can complain about how your kids are already driving you crazy and it's not even winter break yet, then you can be grateful that they're still within hugging distance, because I promise you, they're gonna be gone and out of your house before you can blink. And it'll be hard to keep them in hugging distance. If you can complain about the weather, you can be grateful that you have a roof over your head. If you can complain about a bad knee or a bad foot or a bad shoulder, then you can be grateful that you got one good knee or one good foot or one good shoulder, because one day they're gonna let you down too, right? If you can complain about the crowds and the mess and the fuss and the expense and how commercial Christmas has become, you can be grateful that at least the whole world is still being affected by the birth, the life, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus 2,000 years after he was born in a manger. See, here's my point, and listen to me carefully. Nobody complains their way to a better, more joy-filled Christmas. But you can be grateful to a better Christmas. I've heard from several of you that last week you started the gratitude challenge, right? 3 things you're grateful for every single day. Ran into one person in the hall, says 5 days in, it's already changed his life. Gratitude is powerful. Here's another one, focus on the moment. Focus on the moment. I don't know what you would consider to be the greatest day of your life, but I think I could make a pretty good argument as this day right here. No matter where you are, no matter what you've come through, no matter what you're facing ahead of you, today is the best day of your life. Not because this day is necessarily gonna be pleasant or easy or pain-free, because the truth is, for some of us, it's gonna turn out to be a really horrible day. It just is. That's life, being a human being on this planet. But what makes it the greatest day is, if you think about it, it's actually the only day you've really got. Every other day that's gone before it is irretrievably gone, and it is not coming back. And there are people who will spend their entire life regretting something that happened on one of those days, and we wish we could get it back, but we can't get it back again. Likewise, all the days that come after this day, they're out there in the future someplace. And there are people who will spend their whole lives waiting for what they think might happen, or worrying about something that they're afraid is going to happen. And if you live your life out there in the future and that's the only place you are, I promise you, you're gonna lose your joy. It's this day, it's this square on the calendar. This is God's gift to you. And mostly it's this day that counts, because if you think about it, if you're going to meet with God at all, it's gotta be this day. If you're gonna make a difference with your life, it's gotta be today. If you're gonna experience any amount of joy at all, it's gotta be this day, because you can't go back, and none of us are promised tomorrow, so it's gotta be today. That's why the psalmist writes these powerful words, "This is the day the Lord has made. This day, let us rejoice and be glad in it." Notice it doesn't say yesterday was the day the Lord had made. That was a really great day, wasn't it? Nor does it say tomorrow is the day that the Lord will make. We'll be glad and rejoice when tomorrow gets here. Like, we'll muddle our way through today, but tomorrow, that's when we're really gonna celebrate. It's not what it says. It says this is the day. And so if you're gonna do anything to experience joy in life, it must be today. Notice the moments. I've been thinking lately, if I'm completely honest, I have a tendency to divide my life into 2 categories. I'm either living or I'm waiting to live. And a whole lot of life is actually waiting to live, right? Like you're waiting in line, or you're driving to run an errand or to make an appointment, or you're trying to get through a meeting, or you're trying to get a certain task done, or you're worrying about what might happen, or you're being angry or regretful about something that did or did not happen. And the reality is there's not much joy in that. Like if you went out shopping on Black Friday, and you're standing in line, you ever see anybody just filled with joy to be standing in line? Like, people are pumped to be out, and they're pumped for the celebration of the Christmas season, but once they get in line, man, it's just like, oh wow, I can't even see the cash register, and what are all these people buying, and I just need this one little thing, and it just, like, that doesn't breathe life into anybody. And yet the reality is joy is a really big deal. It's not only a big deal to God, but it's a big deal to us. Scientists, in fact, have done studies on this stuff. And the overwhelming conclusion is this, that joy is an integral part of human existence. Experts have discovered that people who experience joy in life on an ongoing basis have healthier levels of key body chemicals than those who don't have much joy in their life, which interestingly enough leads to healthier hearts, better cardiovascular systems, which has the potential to cut the risk of debilitating diseases like diabetes. It's not me, it's science, y'all. They've discovered that joy has positive effects on the brain function. It helps curb depression. People are more creative and more productive. People who find joy on a regular basis generally have a deeper sense of satisfaction in life. There's a psychologist named David Myers. He's written an entire book on the subject of joy. And he notes that people who are consistently in negative moods, in other words, joyless people, are more likely to be self-preoccupied and self-absorbed, relationally withdrawn, are usually the least likely to serve somebody else, and generally are the least likely to experience love. It's hard to love somebody that doesn't experience joy. In other words, they're wasting their one and only life. They're simply existing at best, but they're not really living. Dr. Lewis Smead gives the insight that to miss out on joy is to miss out on the reason for your existence. Understand this, joy is at the heart of God's plan for your life. It's hardwired into every single one of us. Joy is God's gift to us. That's why the psalmist writes, this is the day, this one right here, this is it. It's God's gift to you. This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. So focus on the moment, because the moments are coming at you every single day, and you'll miss them if you're not careful. And then my last thought is to just simply keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate this thing. Just keep it simple. If you got to church early this morning, you got to hear from some of our students talk about how they find joy this Christmas. And I want to show you a few more because I think we got something to learn from our students. So check out this video.
I'm William Watson, and I find joy by just getting to spend time with family, especially family I don't get to see year-round because all my family comes to my grandma's house here.
My name is Claire Davenport, and I find joy whenever we go on Christmas Eve to my grandma's house and my other grandparents come, and then we all eat dinner together and open presents.
My name is Logan Holbrook, and I find joy on Christmas by every Christmas Eve we go either to my cousin's house or to my house, and we always have dinner, open presents, and we always have a great time.
My name is Haley Cox, and how I find joy in Christmas is I get to spend time with my family, and I get to sing Christmas carols at my grandparents' house, set up nativity scenes at my house, and I get to put hay in the manger for doing good deeds for when Jesus is born on Christmas Day.
So, I mean, it's just that simple, man. It's if you listen to what they're saying, there's a sense of family, of togetherness, the simplicity of experiencing community with one another. You don't have to overcomplicate this thing. You don't have to meet every single human being's expectations for you. It's just finding ways every single day to experience the joy that Christmas should bring into our lives. And I don't know what that looks like for you, but I'm pretty confident that if you can put the distractions down in your life, if you can lift up your thoughts on a daily basis, if you can stay focused on the moments and then figure out as a family how to keep it simple, I think you're going to experience more joy this Christmas. And maybe it's as simple as going to look at Christmas lights or buying gifts for a child in need in our community, or becoming a part of the warming center, or checking on an elderly neighbor, or baking cookies for a friend. I don't know what that means for you, but I know that we've all got the capacity, if we want it, to experience the true essence of Christmas, to celebrate the good news that Jesus has found us and rescued us from our own brokenness and set us free to be a part of the redemptive work of God's kingdom and helping make up there become a reality down here. and then being joy-filled about that, spreading hope and cheer among those that we interact with on a daily basis. You guys really can do this, and this Christmas could be a lot different, but we've all got to learn to keep it simple. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen.